Welcome back to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. Today I'm continuing our mini-series on Drow in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm Megan, and I'm lurking through the Underdark with both Ehlwyn and Pepperina, while we look at the lovely ladies who run all of the Drow society in the name of Lolth.
With everything changing as D&D 5th edition gets the 2024 updates, it's important that we don't lose any lore or details that previous editions had to offer. However, even as we pour over everything Drow from 5th edition, it is also important to understand the problematic nature of some of Drow history. So make sure you listen to episode 0 of this series to keep it all in mind.
In this episode, this panel of Dungeon Masters is going to look at both Mother Matrons of the 5th edition and the last two minions of the Drow Society.
So before we get started, just a quick reminder that all Drow have the following details in their stat blocks unless stated otherwise. So we are going to go over a couple stat blocks for the Matron Mothers and so on and so forth. So just as a reminder, they are all medium humanoids and they're shorter than most humans. They are typically evil if they follow Lolth or the other gods, which most obviously do. They have a movement speed of 30 and also a 120-foot dark vision and speak Elvish and Undercommon. Most are known for their agility and hardiness, but they tend to be slightly stronger and have better mental stats than your average human. They're known for being hard to sneak up on as well as being sneaky themselves. They have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and they can't be put to sleep magically. That's kind of like their elvish connection thing there. If they're in sunlight, they have disadvantage on attacks and perception rolls that use their sight. They can all cast dancing lights at will, and once per day they can cast darkness and fairy fire. So again, their connection to the Fae. And of course, the higher the CR, the higher the numbers and all that nonsense. So we've covered quite a few different stat blocks, but that is kind of your base kit and caboodle when it comes to the Drow. So that being said, I'm going to jump right into talking about the Drow Matron Mother that we can find within the Monsters of the Multiverse. So we have mentioned and talked about the Matron Mothers a number of times, but have never really taken the time to break down their entire role and reviewed their stats. So let's cap off this series while talking about this. So as a reminder, within the Drow Society, they live in houses or smaller groupings, and each one has their own Matron Mother who holds all of the power for that house and family. Think Game of Thrones, it's a house. Think Bridgerton, it's a house. Like they have a conglomerate and a grouping of different Drow together that make a house function, right? Matron Mothers sit at the top. Due to holding all the power within the families, even though it is a very strong right, it is a highly reliant thing on their good standing with Lolth herself, and if they happen to fall out of favor, this will mean being stripped of all of their power and potentially being turned into a Drider, which is a custom that we kind of discussed in a past episode. So if you want to go back and listen to what we talked about when we talked about Driders, this is something that can happen to also Matron Mothers if they tend to fall by the wayside. That being said, there are Matron Mothers that have gone against Lolth and survived and have joined in the wars against Lolth herself. And it does alter their stat block slightly, but that's not something we're really going to get into this episode. But there are a couple things that you want to add if they end up being a turning on Lolth themselves. So in society, the Matron Mother will never be found alone. They will always be followed by guards or housemates or kept by her side to keep her protected. And of course, speaking of being protected, their homes are their lairs, which are heavily warded with their magic to keep them protected, causing lair actions to actually be present. So Matron Mothers have lair actions that protect their home. So it's the same way as other these kind of actions work, like it's on a d20 roll, so it kind of happens within the actions and so on and so forth. But they have 3 possible lair actions that can be used. One is called Perceived Interlopers, which means that if you have invisibility and hiding, it is impossible to hide from the Matron Mother. They will know you are there. Invisibility doesn't work. You are seen. So don't try and sneak into a house that has a Mother Matron ward around it, shall we say. Another is called Spectral Web, which is the Matron can cast a web in a spot within 120 feet, and every creature within 60 feet has to make a DC 19 Dex save or be restrained. So in my mind, a very solid defense move. I'm also thinking that this isn't just like a tiny little house. I'm thinking this is their whole lot of land. So like their front yard, their backyard, where they house their pet spiders, you know what I mean? Like all that, this whole area would be warded. So if you're walking into it, as soon as you cross the front gate, you are within a warded zone in my mind of the Matron. So
100%.
Yeah. And the last is Telekinetic Throw, which is choosing a creature within 60 feet that they can expel from their presence. So basically, yeeting them away and taking bludgeoning damage unless they make a DC strength save of 19.
Yeeteth away.
Yeah,
Literally
I like
yeet.
that one.
And the damage happens similar to
Amazing.
fall damage. It's like similar to fall damage, where it's like every 10 feet, it's 2d6 or something like that. So it can get pretty spicy if they yeet you pretty far. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so those are just the layer actions that they have.
Amazing.
Yeah, that last one might be like one of my favorite layer actions.
I just
100%.
Doing dragons, I see a lot of layer actions.
Yeah.
I feel like this was the only ability that in my brain could have been created by women for women.
Just
Like,
okay, bye.
Yeah.
yeah, I know it wasn't, but there's a part of me that like wishes that it was. Like,
I just got like a mental image of like the matron mother has like a little like war diagram of her actual house.
yeah.
And there's just like a little figure that comes in and she just flicks it off. And then you just get yeeted off of her
Yeah.
property.
I'm imagining Mieka just being
Okay,
you
bye.
bore me.
Yeah.
You bore me. Yep.
Unimpressed.
That's it. Unimpressed, and you fly out a window.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, stat-wise for this matron mother, so some of the main things to point out is they are a CR of 20. So they are they're up there with some of the other big bad evil folks that you will come across in any D&D campaign, like high tier. So that's something to keep in mind. The stats that are always high, of course, because they're Drow, their charisma is sitting at +6 because that tends to be the one that they lean towards. Wisdom of +5, so those are the ones they're going to be leaning on. And of course, their Dex is their next highest one at +4, so that kind of just leans into the fact that, of course, they are a Drow. Their saving throw skills and condition immunities and their senses and their languages are all the same for any other Drow. So they have their Fey ancestry and their sunlight sensitivity. However, their special equipment is a tentacle rod.
I love that so much.
Yep.
Why though?
I don't know, but I love it.
I'm not denying its existence. We did talk about Drow orgies. We did talk about
We did. And
But-
I believe we talked about a tentacle spell for the
we
Drow
did.
orgy.
We did.
I just find this like whole theme around spiders and then randomly every once in a while just
Randomly tentacles.
tentacles. It's like
Because why
This is
not?
what
You gotta
I-
mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
this is what reminds me that this was written by men about women, and that's why we're getting some of these in here.
That's true.
All right. Anyways, so some of their abilities, of course, and actions, they can multi-attack. They carry a demon staff as well, along with their tentacle rod. So their demon staff is their melee attack that has bludgeoning damage. If you have the target will have to make a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw, or they become frightened of the Drow. And then the tentacle rod is also a melee attack, but it's a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or suffer one of the following effects for 1 minute, basically. One is that either the target's speed is halved, and so they have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, and it can't use reactions, or on each of its turns, it can take either an action or bonus action, but not both. So basically it just slows them down. But yeah, other than that, twice a day they can use Divine Flame, and of course they are charisma-based spellcasters, so some of the spells that they have are the ones that we find with most Drow, so they have commonly Dancing Lights, Detect Magic, Thaumaturgy, that kind of stuff. But the ones that make them kind of special is that they have command, which makes sense, because in my mind they are the matron mother of the family, they can tell people what they want to do, so on and so forth. But then twice a day, they can cast things like Banishment, or Hold Person, or even Plane Shift, should they feel like it. And then once per day, they have some other larger spells like Clairvoyance, which I thought was a neat little one to add, because being able to, see a little bit into the future seems like a fun thing to do with these young lasses. But of course, they also have Darkness, Detect Thoughts, and than the classics that we've seen before, like Dispel Magic and Fairy Fire. So nothing really majorly new here in terms of their spell list. I think it might be slightly different when we get into the other Matron Mother, but this seems fairly classic to me. The bonus actions that you get as a Matron Mother, one is called Wolf's Fickle Favor. So this is when the Drow bestows a blessing, is what they're calling it, in terms of they basically hit one of their allies, and the damage that they take inspires them to have advantage on their attack when they attack somebody. So this is the cause pain, sacrifice to Lulth, I am now stronger, and I will definitely kill the person I'm going to attack next round. So it is blessing by pain.
Yeah. The BDSM.
I was just about to say,
D&D.
I'm like, would you expect anything else from a
I mean,
Dom
she's-
mommy?
She's
Yeah.
carrying a goddamn tentacle wand and a demon staff. Can we just Oh man. Anyways, and the other one is she can summon a servant. So we've seen this in a couple of some of our other Drow, but they can either summon a Glabrazu or a Yakalal, which we've covered in other episodes. So if you want to learn about those, definitely hit up some of our other Drow episodes. But they're minions of the Drow and Lolth. And then being the matron mother that they are, they do also have legendary actions. So they have 3. They have Compel Demon, which is basically an allied demon within 30 feet of the Drow. Uses its reaction to make 1 attack against a target of the Drow's choice that she can see. So it's kind of like, demon, go kill. Then they, of course, can use their demon staff, or they can cast a spell. So they can kind of just pop off one of those as a legendary action. So that is the Multiverse Drow Matron Mother. All right, let's raise some dice and have a conversation about this young lady.
That's a 9.
11.
I got a 15. All right, so for this one, here's the thing. I want to lean heavily into the role play because I read this book. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like
Yep.
And I feel like you would definitely lean into the fact that they are for not a better term, the Dami Mommy, but very much in control of their household. There is not a single person in that house that they do not know what they are up to. There's not a single person in that house that has a secret from her. And if there is a secret that comes out, there will be mass amounts of punishment in terms of how dare ye, because everything they do is in service to the matron mother, which is then in turn in service of Lolth, which means everything that goes against her is going against Lolth. And that is what they will stand on, right? So even it has nothing to do with Lolth. I feel like that's a great role-playing tip to have in your brain as a DM, that if someone goes against a matron mother, they're going against Lolth. And that is a big piece that a household will probably hold to. So how it mentions that they're never really alone. They always have guards with them, so on and so forth. That you're probably not going to be talking to the matron mother. You would be talking to their guards, or we've talked about some of the other family roles that are within the household. There's I don't remember what it was called, but it was the male role where they're kind of like the housekeeper. I don't remember what it was called, but anyways, you're probably going to be talking to them, because they're going to be telepathically or just having spiderweb conversations with the matron mother in their minds. So you'll be talking to them, not to the mother matron. They will not talk directly at you, because in my mind, they think they are way above you. Because as a reminder, the Drow think they are ahead and above of any other race and species, right?
Yeah.
So they will talk down to you if you are not a Drow, or they just won't even talk to you, in my mind.
Yeah.
Bam. What about you, Peps?
You have to have a party member that has a spider familiar or something.
Almost.
Yeah.
And I think it was you, Peps, that talked about how you make a spider friend early in your Underdark travelings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that spider is almost like you're in to have conversations with people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I see when you first interact with her, they're going to be very regal, right? If you come into their I don't know if it would be a throne room, because they're not technically queens, but they're on that level of their house. But you would go into that room, they'd be surrounded by their servants and that kind of stuff, and they would be very proper and regal, and they have that high charisma, but it's going to just be putting out this aura of properness, right? And then you piss them off, and I see them turning into Rhea Ripley from WWE.
Yep.
That completely tracks.
Yes, mommy.
Of course, Mamacita.
And then you done fucked up.
Yeah.
So I definitely see there being 2 sides of this coin, You do not want to flip it over. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I would say for these ones, when it comes to combat and things like that, there are so many things that you could do. As a party going in, your intention should not be, we're going to attack the matron mother. This is only if you done fucked up and you have to deal with it. But really, as a DM, I would be giving the party as many opportunities to please her as possible, and really heavily dropping the, are you sure? Are you sure you want to say that? Are you sure you want to do that? Do you want to try and do that perception check? Or do you want to try and, really cautioning the rogue or the bard, because they're the ones that are going to try and do some sort of sneaky shit. Yeah, this is definitely kind of a lead up to shit can pop off. That being said, I feel like with clairvoyance, with the layer actions of like perceived interlopers, spectral web, all of that sort of stuff, she knows you're coming before you even know you're coming. And
Ayo.
phrasing, shit, that's on the internet now.
I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says that. And then on the back it'll say Matron Mother.
Knows
Number
you're coming
15.
before you do.
Yeah, it'll say, yes, Matron Mommy.
Yes, Matron Mommy. Oh my! We have made them problematic for many other reasons why they're already problematic. Like, but you know what? Let's take it back. Like, let's.
Yeah. Anyways, so I feel
think
like
you're right. Yeah.
I feel like the
Yeah.
battle is going to start before you realize the battle has started, if that is your intention of going.
Yeah, like they're gonna not use their abilities first. They're gonna use their layer actions first. You're gonna be fighting like their guards. You're gonna be fighting their household.
Wasn't it like their concubine that was like the buffiest of Buffy?
Yeah.
Frickin' like unassuming in his little like leather harness.
It was it the favored consort? Is that
The
what they were
favored
called?
consort, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, it was like his concubine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
the
had-
favored consort. Like, they're the ones that you're going to be engaging with first. Like, she's just going to be sitting back, absolutely
Mhm.
laughing.
Yeah. I also just had a vision of her with the favored consort and then being done and just yeeting them out the room.
Telekinesis. Telekinetic yeet.
Yeah.
With their lyrics. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, but I do agree. Like they're not
Lights
going
a
to fight with
cigarette.
you. Like 100%. Like they're not. They have no intent in fighting you. Like
No.
it's very. To be honest, like a lot of the abilities they have are ways to force you to have a conversation for her to get
100%.
information from you.
100%.
Like she's got hold person, detect thoughts, detect magic, command. She has the ability to banish you if she wants to.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing stopping her from getting rid of you.
Yeah.
So all of these abilities are very much around, I'm going to keep you as long as I need to get the information that I can from you.
Yeah.
And if I decide to help you because your plea or whatever it is I find truthful, sure, I will. If you go against me and there's any kind of like, if I get a whiff that you were coming at me in any way, shape, or form, yeet. Literally yeeteth.
Yeet.
Yeah.
Away. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. She is going to keep you around for as long as you serve her, and she is going to discard, much like the favored consort. She keeps them around for as long as they serve her, and then yeeteth them away.
Yeet.
Yeah.
I think that's the theme of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at like, okay, you're not ever going to find her alone. She is a CR of 20.
Yeah.
Her favorite consort is a CR 18. So they're going to be in the room.
Yeah.
There is
Like a high inquisitor or something like that as well.
Oh no, an arachnomancer that could be there. That's a CR 13. There's a house captain that's a 9, and the inquisitor that's a 14.
And then there's the acolytes. I think were
Yeah.
like 6 or 7 or something.
Then there's
that.
like a shadow blade that's an 11 that's going to be hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
Like it is going to be a battle before you even get to anywhere near touching her.
And if
It
you
would be
get
an
into
intimate marathon.
And even if you weren't, and you got into the courtroom, and they're all sitting there, don't fight.
No, do not engage. Bow down.
Like, not engage. Probably forehead to the floor. Like
100%. We are worms.
We are worms.
You're gonna want to fall on that sword before you fall on theirs.
Literally, just like trip and fall over it by accident. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So if you take anything from this, just don't.
Just don't.
Just don't.
Just go along for the ride is literally what it like for a DM. This is a situation where your team is going to be forced to go along with your story.
Yeah.
Like because there is literally nothing there's nothing they can physically do unless you have given them some kind of a magical ability, unless you've given them some kind of like magical weapon. It's something that will help them in this situation, which there's not going to be much.
Maybe they have a party of gods with them. That's probably about it.
Yeah, I've got the power of anime and Jesus on my side. Like
pretty much.
Like
but then also she's gonna see that coming because you can't
100%.
sneak up on her. And also, if you consider how many of these can summon demons that will also be in that room, like
There's gonna be so okay. This is the night, and especially if it's the night after the Drow orgy, there's gonna be demons everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like, but here's the thing: I do feel like a Drow matron mother would have a large enough hubris that she would allow a god into her presence. I feel like if she sensed a god or somebody coming in, she'd be like, "Absolutely, in the name of Wolf, I will stand between you and Wolf."
This will be very amusing for me.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I could see a high-tiered party rocking up with literally the power of the gods on their side, and the matron mothers, because there's going to be more than one, and their house armies going against. Like, the idea of how many matron mothers exist within one, like, Drow society in the underworld. Sorry, I keep calling it the underworld, the Underdark. And so on and so forth. Like, it just, the numbers would be astounding. Like, like, I've been in a campaign with Adam where we did fight against a Drow army. And you don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, it is, it's a lot. And so.
They're all levitating and poisoning, like everything.
Levitating, poisoning, whipping.
Summoning demons.
Demons summoning, coming before you do. Like, come on. Like,
As she would.
As she would, and
multiple
deserves.
times.
Anyways.
Know what's good for you.
You will allow it.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, there is another matron mother stat block, so Peps, I'll let you take it away.
Yes. First, I am going to, because like, I think the biggest differences here between the two books is the artwork. And Megan, you didn't really go over the artwork.
No,
unless
so
I blacked out.
No. Absolutely for you to compare. Yeah.
I'm running on a high of like frosting sugar cookies and who knows how much sugar's in my system. So I could have blacked out. So in the Monsters of the Multiverse that Megan just went over, the artwork there is very like paladin cleric like she's got on armor, she's holding the staff that has like the giant spider on it. Her hair is very like braided and well kept. I think those are the tentacles hanging off of her belt. She's got armored boots. She looks like she's ready to go into a war. Like she is battle ready. When we get into the Tome of Foes, right? Did I say it right? Tome?
Nailed it.
The artwork is vastly different. They're almost ethereal. They have white flowing hair with a crown. They have a white flowing gown that looks very similar to how I'd envision a ghost or like a banshee. Like it's here but not here kind of vibe. With jewelry that like resembles pearls. They almost seem to have a red glow around them as well. I'd say they're like elegant and almost chilling. They do also carry a staff, but instead of it having a spider on the top, it is more of a long, skinny, jagged blade. So, as we just sort of mentioned, there are many matron mothers. So I do like that there is different artwork for them because it is not just one creature that all looks the same. This sort of tells you that they have very different personalities just based on the two different artworks. One of the more interesting things missing here is any description of their lair or their lair actions. It does not give you that in the Tome of Foes. We only get about a paragraph of lore here, which is repeated in the newer version in Monsters of the Multiverse. Like almost exactly the same. So I'm not going to go back over that because it's pretty much word for word. Looking at their stats, they are also very similar. I will note that the matron mother from the Tome of Foes has a just slightly higher HP with an average of 262 instead of 247. The biggest difference between the two stat blocks is their spell list. In the Tome of Foes version, they have 30 spells, where the updated version only has 17, so almost double the spell list. So I'm going to go through that list quickly so we can see if we feel like anything should have stayed included or maybe switched around if you would have preferred one spell over another. For cantrips, they get Guidance, Mending, Resistance, Sacred Flame, and Thaumaturgy. Then first level, they have Bane, Command, Cure Wounds, Guiding Bolt. Second level is Hold Person, Silence, and Spiritual Weapon. Third level is Bestow Curse, Clairvoyance, Dispel Magic, and Spiritual Guardians. Fourth level is Banishment, Death Ward, Freedom of Movement, and Guardian of Faith. Fifth level is Contagion, Flame Strike, Geese. I think that's how you say that one.
Guys?
Geese. I don't know.
Guys.
I've never said that word in my life.
Yeah. A
pretty sure
ruse
it's
or a
guys.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's guys.
Editor's note. It's pronounced Geesh.
And Mass Cure Wounds. Sixth level is Blade Barrier and Harm. Seventh level is Divine Word and Plane Shift. Eighth level is Holy Aura. I'm saying way too many words here. And the last one, ninth level, they get Gate.
Okay.
And that is their spell list.
So yes, many more spells. And like I feel like it's the same spell list, but they added more attack spells.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that might have to do with the fact that Monsters of the Multiverse has like the layer actions and all of that sort of stuff, whereas this one has kind of left it out. So I think
They need a more
that
aggressive.
it just
Yeah.
kind of it balances it out by giving her a little bit more DPS spells compared to just like layer actions and that sort of stuff, or like legendary actions. Yeah.
There's even spells on here that I didn't know were in the game. Like, I don't know what
guys.
Gate does. I don't
I don't know what Gate does either. The Monsters of the Multiverse, she also has Gate as well, and I'm gonna assume it has something to do with doors and gates and locking you
Yeah.
places.
Editor's note. It does not.
I don't think I've ever actually used Gate before.
Yeah. I mean, it's a ninth level, so you have to be very high to get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know that I've ever seen it in use.
I feel like a lot of people are drawn more towards like power word kill and like other like higher like wish, like other higher ninth level spells. And so it
Yeah.
might not be as commonly used.
Okay, but what I like about this one is they have planar shift. So they can basically grab you, yeet you into a different plane, and then bamf, and then it'd just be the two of you standing in that plane.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems very it's a little bit of a callback. It seems very Shadow Link in Ocarina of Time,
Yeah, very
Where
similar,
you-
yeah.
where you're
Mhm.
it's just the two of you in that one area.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
they would literally, like, if they just want to talk to one person
Yeah.
or like remove themselves from a situation, they would just be like, come with me. Like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, yes, it's a ninth level, so it's kind of a waste, but like at the same time, pretty cool.
Mhm.
I feel like the Tome of Foes one is a lot more like classic cleric compared to the Monsters of the Multiverse. Like, even though she is still a cleric drow, I feel like because she has more layer actions, she's a little bit more of like a all-encompassing presence instead of like a singular presence.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little more classic, like high cleric to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does.
It is also like it does, say cleric at the top of, I believe, Monsters of the Multiverse.
does,
But
yeah.
it's interesting, like everybody thinks of cleric as healers. There's 2 healing spells here out of 30, right?
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Monsters of the Multiverse, she's got Cure Wounds. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one has mass cure wounds also on the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, you could definitely stereotypically clerics are the healers of the bunch, but I think a lot of what they both have with clairvoyance, with detect thoughts, with, banishment and plane shift and all of that sort
They're
of stuff.
so defensive.
It's very defensive, and it really kind of just speaks to their authority and how that they need to defend themselves, and they need to defend their house, and they need to defend their reputation and their loyalty to Lolth, and they need to defend Lolth and all of that sort of, like, it more leans towards their dedication to Lolth than really concerning themselves with their constituents.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
If
like
that's the right word.
I
Yeah.
feel like the spells and the way they're built is like specifically that if someone comes after Lolth, this is her house guard, right?
Yeah.
So like they're going to have those spells that keep her protected, safe,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So yeah, they're supposed to be healing to keep themselves alive, sure, but that's not the
Yeah.
point of them.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you get close enough to her to be able to do damage to her, that's a feat in and of itself.
You're gonna get a tentacle to the face is what's gonna happen.
I mean, that as well. But I mean, I think because she's so heavily protected with the kind of court that she has established from, you know, her from her chosen concubine to you know, all the way up to like the inquisitors and all of that sort of stuff. Like there are several layers that you have to get through, and so it makes sense for her to not have to be like wasting her energy on those healing spells because she's got people to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that being said, between the two of them, which one is our favorite, do you think? Which would you prefer?
I love Lady Edith.
Lady
Yeah.
Edith, I know. The layer actions really make a difference. It's like, get out of my
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I think it does. I think it adds that extra, just that extra little spice to it that it makes it for a little bit more fun role playing. Of, oh yeah, like I knew you were coming before you did.
Creepy, but yes.
Yeah.
That is the energy.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There's a little bit more to the multiverse matron mother, just in terms of like usability. And the fact that she is going to ward and protect her own home, even though she has an army that's built to do that for her. It's like, I still have to put up my own protective wards because I don't necessarily trust everyone.
Yeah.
And like,
Or
I think,
anyone.
yeah, and that leans in, and I feel like that leans more into their lore and the fact that all of them are worried that they're going to get betrayed by their own family, like constantly, right? Like, Wolf is always worried that the matron mothers and other folks within her community are going to rise up against her. And that's the whole shtick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can imagine that the matron mothers, as a product of that, will also have those anxieties about their own homes, which means that I feel like the multiverse matron mother really speaks to that with all of those protective spells, the fact that she has layer like actions and wards her own home.
Yeah.
So
It's just generational trauma.
what a way to live, you know? How strange.
I think it also kind of like the way that a mother spider protects her egg clutch, like that is how the matron mother is in a way. Like she has all of these, like she's bundled it up into like a little cushy silk ball of her house, and that's how she's protecting it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important aspect of the Tomb of Foes version that you would want to bring over to the reprinted version? Is there anything?
No, I mean, like they do have such a big spell list, but
I don't think it's
also,
needed. Like,
I don't think it's needed. I think that like when you get to 30 spells, it can become very overwhelming, especially as a DM when you have 5 other things in the room and they're summoning demons and you have suddenly 20 stat blocks in front of you that you're trying to remember what each of them can do, and you're looking up 30 spells to see, like,
Yeah.
that could be, it's too much after a while. Like if this is your one character and you play it week after week after week, then you get to know those spells. But as a DM, like it's too much. It's too much to
Yeah, 100%.
keep track and think about. So I prefer the layer actions and
Yeah, I do as well.
and simplifying the spell list.
I was like, is there a spell that's in this one that the reprint doesn't have that you would move over? I like the Guardian Spirits one.
I was just about to say, yeah.
It doesn't really
It
fit
makes-
thematically for me, but like I like the idea of 1,000 guardian spiders that are spectrally whipping around you.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Was it was going to be little tiny like guardian spiders.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is
And
just
so
creepy.
like you could flavor it to be thematic. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think that I like Monsters of the Multiverse. Like I think that this was one where they kind of revised and upgraded an existing character and they did good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, with all that being said, let's wrap up this episode chatting about a couple of our remaining last minions.
Yeah, so we've got 2 last minions to go over, both of them coming out of the Storm King's Thunder. The first one is ice spiders. So ice spiders use giant stat blocks with a few changes to add some flavor. Appearance-wise, they have red eyes, white fur covering their bodies. They weave liquid webs that quickly crystallize, forming icy cocoons and frosty sheets. So stat block wise, they use the same as giant spiders. So they're an AC of 14, they're about 26 hit points. They have a walk and climb speed of 30. Their highest stat is Dex, which is +3. Their lowest is Intelligence, which is -4, +7 to their stealth. Traits wise, they've got spider climb, web sense, and web walker, which we've all covered, covering the plethora of spiders that we've covered over this Drow series. They have bite and web as their 2 actions. So their bite is a melee weapon with a +5 to hit. On a hit, it deals 1d8 +3 piercing damage, and the target must make a DC 11 Constitution or take 2d8 poison damage on a failed save, half as much if they were a success. And then if the poison damage reduces the target to 0, the target is stable but poisoned for 1 hour, even after regaining hit points, and it is paralyzed while it is poisoned. So same as all the other spiders. They've also got webbed, which is a ranged weapon. It recharges on a 5 or a 6. It is a +5 to hit. The range is 30-60 to 1 creature. When it hits a target, the target is restrained by webbing. As an action, the restrained target can make a DC 12 strength check, bursting the webbing on a success. The webbing can also be attacked and destroyed. It's got an AC of 10 or 5 hit points. And it is vulnerable to fire damage, but it has immunity to bludgeoning, poison, and psychic damage. Ice spiders also have, like I had said, a little extra ice spider flair to them. So ice spiders have resistance to cold damage. While restrained in an ice spider's web, a creature takes 1 cold damage at the start of each turn. And then the web lacks immunity to bludgeon damage. So because it's crystallized, it will shatter, essentially. And then the next one up is the Ice Spider Queen. So much like ice spiders, the Spider Queen uses giant spider stat block with the following changes. It has 44 hit points and a challenge rating of 2 instead of 1 that the giant spider or the ice spider was. It has resistance to cold damage. Any creature that starts its turn within 5 feet of the queen takes 2d4 cold damage. And then while restrained in the Ice Spider Queen's web, a creature takes 1d4 cold damage at the start of each turn. The spider webbing doesn't have immunity to bludgeoning damage. So I also thought this was kind of cool. In the book, it says that when you first encounter her, she is sitting atop 32 ice spider eggs, all the size of grapefruits. And when or if she dies, all the eggs hatch and form a swarm of insects with the spider variation on it. So I think that that's also probably something he would be adding into an encounter with her.
Ew.
Yeah.
Icy ew.
Yeah. I mean, cool.
Megan's favorite.
But like ice ew, you know?
Ice ew.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird, like the art of these guys, they actually kind of look cute because they're kind of like little spider abominable snowmen.
Don't say it. No. Nothing cute about them.
I also, these ones above all, I kind of view as like just giant, like regal jumping spiders, which are my favorite spiders and the only spiders that I like in the world. But like just really cute, like little albino ones with the red eyes and like the white furry fur.
Yeah. It's like there's that girl on TikTok that has like the jumping spiders that
Yes.
weirdly enough,
She
I watch her.
voices them. And
Yeah.
she voices them and they're the most adorable things ever.
I do watch them. I do. Like that is, I don't know if it's like a weird, I still hate them and it scares me and I'm always like waiting for them to jump and it gives me anxiety. But like I can't help it. It's actually kind of adorable.
They're
So-
adorable. And I think that that's the way that I make in my brain, because I also don't like spiders. That is the way that I make them cute, is that every spider is a regal jumping spider and they all have little personalities and voices.
Every single one has its own personality.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
So those are the last 2 minions to wrap up the Drow series.
All right. Well, let's raise
Yeah.
dice one last time, ladies.
19.
19? Fuck off. I rolled a 10. I rolled a 2. All right. What is one interesting or unique way you would, of course, use these minions within your Drow campaigns?
Okay, first off, I'm going to say I heard almost nothing after you said liquid web shoots out of them.
I like it. Liquid web.
Yeah.
Because, ew.
Yeah, it's not a great visual.
If you meet these somewhere not in where it freezes very quickly, ew.
I feel like it would be hard to find them outside of frozen areas, so I don't think it would be
But,
as
you
big
know,
of a
you
problem,
always
but
have
also agreed.
Somebody who would capture them and bring them and sell them somewhere,
Totally.
you know.
Yeah.
And they just shoot out goo.
Yeah.
Ew.
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 Yeah.
What about you,
All
Ellie?
right, so, and
I'm gonna move on from Pep, so I'm gonna talk about it.
It's
I don't know that I have anything else. That's all that stuck in my head was liquid web.
Just liquid web. That's it. That's her one interesting, unique way that she's going to use it is just liquid web.
Everybody,
She's gonna have them in the desert. And
No,
there's
I
just
was-
gonna be puddles.
I mean, they would do really well in the Drow orgy. Like
You're
I-
gonna know
No.
who's coming first.
Oh my god, Megan, no. Oh, Megan.
We can't not end this series unhinged. Like we.
Is it Drow lube?
Oh yeah.
I mean, is it like?
I
Is
think
that
so.
what you were alluding to? Because now I'm just no.
maybe.
Oh god.
That's why they get captured. bottle that up.
Oh god. This is why we can't have nice things, guys.
It's true, because now I really don't want to follow it up with something serious because I feel like we need to end on that note.
I literally have nothing else for it.
Yeah.
My only serious response was going to be, I like having them in at my disposal in terms of the fact that if you are doing a mountainous climb and you are in tundra
Yeah.
whatever, it's another
Mhm.
simple monster you can use.
Yeah.
Which are very hard to find. Not like they're hard to find. Storm King's Thunder does have quite a few, but
Mhm.
like smaller ones or smaller fodder are hard to find. And I find like a small grouping of spiders is a nice little introduction to a tundra. But
Yeah.
that and the sound that their
Yeah.
webs make would be a fun thing to describe as a DM. Like when
like
the
crunching,
icicles.
like I was gonna say, like or like crunching on like fresh frosty grass.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna have like that satisfying crunch to it.
Yeah. So that's my
Um,
only serious thing I would add to that. But
Yeah, I mean, like the only thing that I was going to say is that like the ice spider eggs that she's sitting on top of would be like a really good like jump scare of like, oh, thank God we killed her. Oh shit. We now
Mhm.
have to deal with a tiny baby swarm of baby ice spiders.
yeah.
And so like it would just be like a good, you thought you were done, but you're not type thing. But no, let's
Get
just
ready.
leave on a high note.
Let's just leave it on
Spider goo.
spider goo.
on Drow orgy lube. That's what we're
Yep.
signing off
Alrighty.
with.
Yeah.
Ellen's like, I'm done.
Yeah, alrighty. Any final thoughts, inspirations, I'd say with Matron Mothers or just over the Drow campaign or the Drow series in general?
Yeah, I mean, Matron Mothers is a good thing to cap it off on because, like,
Yeah.
they will be your big bad evil guy, or they're the person that you do not want to fight. Like,
Yeah.
and so they're a good little DM tip and trick to read up on how they operate. They're going to be tough to role play, especially if you're trying to not look like a dick playing a female character in this way. So that's my only thing is, again, listen to our episode 0 and take caution when like guiding and leading into these things. We say a lot of jokes around the BDSM culture and how this ties into it because it's just a thing that we do here on our podcast.
Yeah.
However, don't lead with that if that is not what your group wants. Do not take that inspiration.
I would definitely say it requires a vibe check.
Mhm.
Vibe check, yeah.
For sure. There are definitely, I think, as much as we have kind of played light and made fun of kind of the kinkier sides that this could go, there are definitely a very strong flavors of regality and like just high society, and I think you could play it both ways. You could play, you know, Dommy Mommy, or you could play, you know, Queen Charlotte type, you know,
And I think
with
there's
the
like
Regency.
like they're both, you know, like it's
Yeah.
out in public they're
Yeah.
one way, behind closed doors
They could be another way. And
Yeah.
whether your group sees
Yeah.
that or not is
Yeah.
unbeknownst to whatever you guys end up
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
right? But like
Yeah.
to your point, Bridgerton the shit out of it if you have
That's
to.
what I was
Totally.
just gonna say. that's
Bridgerton
my
the shit
final
out of it.
thought. On Drow as a whole, as we've been saying this whole series.
Yeah, solid way to end it. Yeah.
Bridgerton the shit out
Get
of
out of
it.
it.
All right, well, that's all for this series on Drow and D&D 5th edition. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, comment, and review to help push our engagement. And don't forget to subscribe to find future inspirations for your campaigns.
If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com, as well as a Patreon. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other podcast apps. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
Guys, it's over.
And that's it for Drow. We finished Undead. We finished Drow.
I said.
Yeah, next year is going to be interesting. So
Next year's gonna be a lot.